The bat swinging, the ball's flying through the air, stumps crashing, it's a cricket affair. Get ready to groove, time to make some noise. Cricket podcast, we're here to fill the void. In the stadium, the crowd's going wild, the energy's high just like a child. We're here to bring you all the latest cricket news with electronic beats. We'll show you the news.
Hello and welcome to the Legends and Lads Cricket Podcast, formerly known as the Atombic Cricket Podcast. I am Chirunandan Srinath, your host for this week. Joining me is my co-host Krishna Maitreya, and today we have a very special guest along with us, Jack Hope, joining us from the Cricket Podcast. My friend, how are you? First of all, welcome onto the show. Am I allowed to say that the Cricket Podcast is UK's number one cricket podcast?
First, thanks for having me. Really happy to be here. Second, I don't think we're quite number one. Obviously there's the Sky Sports podcast, which is quite popular, and then the Test Match Special podcast, which is also quite popular, and they're both associated with quite big broadcasters. But probably the biggest independent podcast, so we'll take that one instead.
Because you are one of the most straightforward guys. It's a purely a fans cricket podcast which is independent. So
Yeah.
nice to have you here. If you remember, in 2021 was the last time we thought we would meet up, and after 3 years, finally we are having a collaboration. Yeah, first of all, it's a T20 World Cup special episode, so we will talk about yesterday's game, England versus Australia. Your England lost to Australia by 36 runs, and I couldn't have a chance to watch it live because it was midnight for us. But I got a chance to watch the highlights, and I think England were in the game in there until the ninth over, 10th over, until Zampa spun his web, got those two important wickets, and I think it was all over by then. So, as an English fan, disappointed losing to Australia, obviously.
Yeah, I think so. I think the game plan backfired for England with bat and ball, to be honest. This England team will be a good team if they take wickets, and particularly early wickets, because that makes the job easier for everyone else further on in the innings. And we saw in Australia that that's exactly what happened. Sam Curran, I think, bowled 2 balls to batters in the top 4 in the entire last World Cup. So he was only bowling to bad batters, basically, and then he won Player of the Tournament off the back of that. In this game, Travis Head and David Warner batted really well. I'm not sure about England's game plans, going with 2 overs of spin straight up top when they had Jofra Archer as an alternative option. And from that point on, really, I thought they were playing catch up. They did okay with the ball to slow Australia down. Probably not much better than okay, but they did slightly slow Australia down. I thought 200 was always going to be a very difficult score to chase on that wicket. We saw, for example, David Warner get bowled by one that kept really low, and those kind of conditions or that kind of dismissal tell you that it's not the kind of pitch where you can play stand and deliver cricket from a batting point of view. And I thought although they had a good start, I think this was the kind of pitch where they needed to be 70 for none after the power play. And what were they, late 50s? So not quite at the rate that I feel that they needed to be at. If you think about pitches in the world, you can kind of bucket them into different groups. You've got some that are absolute roads, Chinnaswamy Stadium, for example, and then you've got some that are slow and can be tricky to bat on, and the one I'm going to use Indian examples because I just watched 70 games of the IPL. Chepauk's probably the best example of this. Maybe something like Lucknow. This pitch here falls into that Chepauk category of pitch where you really need to attack when the ball is hard and it's coming on, because you know it's going to slow down. And when Zampa did come into the attack, England found him really hard to play. He's an excellent bowler, Zampa, possibly the best leg spinner in the world, and I think he won man of the match, and I think he deserved to win man of the match.
Yeah. Matthew?
Yeah, so I wanted to ask you, since England lost to Australia, so the qualifying chances for England have become dimmer. Now just wins against Oman and Namibia won't be enough because now it goes down to the net run rate, and so now it becomes really tough for England. So, do you see England qualifying comfortably?
Um, I think it's got a little bit harder, hasn't it? I don't think there's any doubt about that. Their fate is no longer in their hands. Not only could net run rate be a factor, but I think Scotland could beat Australia, and well, I don't think that will happen. But if Scotland did beat Australia, then net run rate wouldn't be a factor at all because because Scotland and Australia could just get more points than England. So they're definitely not in a good position. However, they do have the slight advantage, I think, that they know what Scotland did against Namibia, and they know that they have to do better than that. They're in a position where they kind of get to chase, in a sense, assuming that Scotland do lose to Australia. I'm just going to have a quick look at the order of their games. So they play Oman next. I think that is Thursday. They'll be looking to try and win that by the best part of 100 runs, I think. And if they do that, I think they'll qualify. And if they don't, they'll have to try and do that against Namibia on the Saturday after. And I think if we're honest, England are capable of doing that. I don't think Scotland have got a 100-run victory over Oman in their locker, so to speak. I think they will struggle to pull off such a comprehensive win, whereas England could win a game that gives them a net run rate of +4, and that will probably be enough to take them through. It'd be very unlucky for Scotland, to be honest. They may well have beaten England 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago, but that's the breaks that you get in cricket, unfortunately.
Yeah, moving on, Jack, did you watch the USA versus Pakistan match? Because for me, I think it's at midnight, 1:30, and I just stayed awake for watching a movie on Netflix. And then after watching the movie, I just happened to open my notifications and I see 14 runs to win of 5 USA. And then I'm like, wow, because we love Pakistan losing matches. Uh, so I went on to see, we saw a super over and an Indian blood, Saurabh Netrawalkar, doing the magic in the super over. And it was really good to see Pakistan lose. And also Haris Rauf, how dumb he is. He was bowling everything straight to the bat in a last over of the innings where you do not have long off fielder and just low full tosses straight to bat. I think USA did an incredible job. Pakistan loses to a part-time cricketers team. How hurting it is.
I mean, you say part-time crickets, they literally are. These guys have got other jobs. The guy who bowled the super over, he works for Oracle as a technician for 11 months a year and plays cricket for 1 month a year. So this is an incredible win. It's one of the great T20 matches, isn't it? It's David v Goliath. You've got Pakistan, an established Test nation, who were in the final of the last tournament against USA, who were playing their second ever international T20 World Cup match. Like this is their first one was against Canada the week before. This is their second ever game at this tournament, and they won. And you know what? They deserved to win as well. They were better than Pakistan on the day. There was a point when they were batting when they probably should have won quite easily, and to give some credit to Pakistan, they were able to drag it back and make it difficult for USA at the end and force a super over. But really, apart from that 4 or 5 overs at the end of the USA innings, USA were the better team, and I'm really sort of pleased for them. And I think Pakistan have got to have a long, hard look at themselves. They basically didn't think that the USA were worth planning for. They didn't know their best bowling combinations. They didn't know which bowlers to target when they were batting. Their captain getting 44 or 43 against the USA, that's embarrassing. If you face 43 balls against the USA and you're Babar Azam, you should score 90 minimum. Even on these pitches, you should be scoring really, really quickly against this team. He's a good player, but he panicked and he didn't know who his option would be later in the innings for him to attack and to get that run rate up, and so he didn't go anywhere. And it sort of typified the whole performance. I mean, you talk about Harris Ralph in the final over of the game, Mohamed Amir in the super over, bizarre cricket.
Wides
I
after
mean,
wides.
I can't even remember how many wides he bowled. It's was it 4 wides, and then they ran on 3 of them, and they ran a 2 on the other one. It was yeah, just colossally stupid, really, that they managed to do this. This should never happen to Pakistan in this game, but somehow it's always them, isn't it? When
Maybe
these
it
things
repeats
happen,
itself
it's
today.
always them.
Maybe
Yeah.
Pakistan repeats its performance today against India. We hope so.
Well, I mean, like, would anyone be stunned if they beat India? Sort of, no, not really. From my point of view, anyway. I know there'd be lots of people in India that might be shocked, but I kind of look at them and I still think they're an okay team. They've got some good players. They've got some very, very good bowlers. They could definitely beat India. I don't think it's. I think if I was going to make a bet, I would bet on India. But that's the duality of Pakistan, isn't it? On the one hand, they can lose to the USA. On the other hand, they can beat the tournament favourites 5 days later. And that's kind of why they're fun
2022,
to watch.
where they qualify to finals.
Yeah,
over to you,
exactly.
Maitreya.
So,
Yeah, so today morning, I think for you it would have been midnight, I think. So I was watching the West Indies versus Uganda game, and it turned out to be interesting because the West Indies played a very dominating game. Because I think this is a West Indies researching back, because after 2016, I think West Indies has been taken on. Everyone sees West Indies like equivalent to Zimbabwe or some other team like that. So I think West Indies, performing with making them all out for 39. So I think it's a really good performance. And do you think this makes West Indies, get back their confidence and be among the top teams like India, Australia, England, among those top teams?
I think that's a good question. I don't really know. Is the kind of boring answer. West Indies, I didn't think they were very good against Papua New Guinea at all. I thought they were quite lucky to win that one. They needed a little bit of Andre Russell magic and was it Roston Chase to speed things up near the end. But then they've demolished Uganda, and now they've got a very healthy net run rate, and New Zealand's net run rate is very bad. So West Indies, they basically need to win one of their next 2 matches to go through. I would say at their best, they're capable of beating anyone. But I think they will have more average days than they will have good days, and I think that will be what holds them back. They do have some brilliant T20 players. Puran, Andre Russell, Rodman Powell, the captain, is a pretty handy player himself. And then the bowling's not amazing, but it works in the conditions. I think there's some good conditions, some good bowlers for the places that they're going to be playing. I think semi-finals is probably where they will finish. They will top out, but they could surprise us. I think they could definitely surprise us. What I would say is they've definitely improved on the last World Cup, where they were actually genuinely bad. And I think people who like West Indies cricket were a bit worried that this was how it was going to be from now on. Like it's good to see that in a couple of years they've managed to turn things around a bit.
Yeah, 2 days ago or 2 or 3 days ago, we saw Afghanistan beat New Zealand. I mean, what has not happened in this T20 World Cup? USA beat Pakistan, Afghanistan beat New Zealand. We had a super over as well. And I think there should be a special mention to Faruqi, who got that initial start, the swing that he had, and the wickets that he got. I think even I mean, we even saw yesterday or day before yesterday, if I'm not wrong, Sri Lanka and Bangladesh having a tough fight. So everything is there in the T20 World Cup. And to talk about this tournament, because this tournament in specific, the highest score until now is just 201, which was yesterday's game. And the pitches have been terrible in the US, especially the New York City. We'll talk about it later, but generally in the tournament, because everything is happening in this tournament, T20 World Cup 2024.
Yeah, the pitches they're a thing, aren't they? They're definitely the worst pitches I've seen at a major tournament. And yeah, if we want to get to that in a bit, we can. I think it's been amazing. I think it's shown the value in having a 20-team World Cup, and I think the format for it is about right. I think we're getting a good mix of big teams playing big teams and small teams playing small teams, and then when a small team comes up against a big team, partly because of the pitches, but partly because these teams are actually a lot better than people think they are. We've seen some really close matches, and we've seen small teams beat big teams, and that's kind of what you want, isn't it? For sure. Like we've also had games, and we should be clear about this. It's not all been amazing cricket. We've had games like last night where West Indies won by 134 runs, and it was very much men against boys. But I think overall this has been an absolutely fantastic tournament in terms of drama, even if at times you do think that the quality of the cricket is slightly worse than it could be because of the pitches.
Yes, so I wanted to ask, the T20 World Cup has just begun just 1 week after the IPL. So both of them are the same, T20 format, but we are seeing a very contrasting sets of statistics. Like you see the batters and the bowlers, their performances have been highly varying because the T20 has in the IPL. So the IPL has been more of a batter friendly game. Almost every two games we had a 200 score, and this time only one 200 score, and it has been more of a bowler's performance. And then coming to the pitches, as he has earlier mentioned, so the pitches in New York, I can't say extremely terrible, but very terrifying for batsmen to play in that pitch. So your thoughts on this contrast between the T20 World Cup and IPL?
Well, I think we knew. I think we suspected that we wouldn't see as many runs at the T20 World Cup as we saw at the IPL, and there are a few reasons for that. Obviously, the pitches are much better in India. Some of the ground dimensions are smaller. I mean, like, not only is the pitch difficult in New York, but you have to hit the ball about 95 meters to hit a four. So it's pretty difficult to score. And then on top of that, the quality of cricketers are probably a little bit lower. There's probably fewer guys who are capable of regularly clearing the ropes in the T20 World Cup versus the IPL, and there's no impact sub. So there's a number of reasons. Historically, I mean, so talking about the last IPL, I think that was the first T20 franchise tournament or World Cup where the strike rates for batters were higher than 150, which is pretty insane. A run and a half every ball. Traditionally at T20 World Cups, we've seen they've been the slowest scoring competitions. So it goes something like this: like T20 World Cups, slowest scoring, then the CPL and the Bangladesh Premier League are about the same. And then you have kind of the Big Bash. Then you've got the tournaments in England where the grounds are maybe a little bit smaller. And then recent IPLs have been very high scoring. That's the kind of the tier system, if you like, when it comes to runs. So I think we kind of did expect this. I think the stadium in New York, I think it's kind of great what they've done, and to get the stadium there and to do all the
In
preparation.
5 months.
Yeah, it's a really impressive feat. You do wonder whether maybe, knowing that they were going to have a cricket there for more than 5 months, whether they could have done the pitch first and played some friendlies on it and done some work to, behind the scenes maybe, before we actually saw it in action. As far as I understand, they didn't put the drop in until a few weeks ago. So it's a very newly laid square in conditions that we've not played cricket in before, in a place we've not played cricket before. So a lot could go wrong, and frankly, we have seen some stuff go wrong. Hopefully for today's match between India and Pakistan, it's a bit friendlier. I think, like, I don't think people would have a problem with a pitch where 140 was a good score. I think the problem is 110 is a good score, and that makes it it tilts it a little bit too far. Maybe not in favour of the bowlers, but in favour of luck, because people are getting out to balls that shouldn't or don't really deserve wickets. I'm thinking back to the India-Ireland game, for example. I mean, Virat Kohli got out to a ball that was halfway down, wide of off stump, and he played a good shot to it, but the ball did something weird and it took a top edge and flew straight to third man. And that as an example of a wicket, that's an example of a wicket that we don't really want to see. that's a good batter getting out because he didn't know where the ball was going to go, and that's a bit of a shame as far as I'm concerned. But the other hand is the games have been quite dramatic because you've got no idea what's going to happen next.
Yeah, and it's June 9th as we record this episode, right? And uh,
Mm.
we two nations, India, Pakistan. I mean, we have the sense of so much excitement in our bodies right now because just another 5 to 6 hours towards the game. And it's so electrifying, the atmosphere at home. When my parents who do not watch cricket, they're going to sit here in front of the television and watch this India-Pakistan match. I will go a step ahead and say it is better than your England-Australia rivalry because it's against two countries where I mean it's a peaceful game, but also the aggression and the excitement that happens. I think it's nowhere else in any other game. So I think about India Pakistan, whom are you supporting? You're with us or with Pakistan? Bye bye.
Well, I will be. I mean, I would prefer to sit on the fence, but if you two are both going to support India, I'll support Pakistan just to make things interesting. I think it's a great game. I think it makes cricket better. I think it's exciting for neutral fans as well. There'll be people all around the world tuning into this, regardless of whether they're Indian or Pakistani or they've got Indian or Pakistani family. It's just an interesting contest because of some of the reasons that you're talking about there. And I think within cricket, it's certainly the most intense rivalry. England and Australia in Test cricket, because of the history there, that might still be the most engaging rivalry that we see in that format. Obviously, India and Pakistan don't play each other at the moment in that format, so the Ashes has got that advantage. But I think when it comes to World Cups, this is the game that people want to watch, and the ICC know that, and that's why India and Pakistan are always in the same group. Which I think, if we're honest, probably makes quite a lot of sense. You can fund more or less the whole tournament off the back of just this one game. So, I'm really excited to see what will happen. I do think India are quite a lot better than Pakistan, and I think Pakistan will be still reacting to their defeat to the USA. But sometimes Pakistan's reaction is to come out fighting, and if we see that version of Pakistan, it could be a tough game for India. It's a very good bowling attack when they get it right.
Yeah, so since we're on this topic, so in today's game, India versus Pakistan, it's more of, I think the bowlers will have the say because it's a New York pitch, and as we're seeing, I think the fast bowlers, even the more than spinners, will have the most say. So I think coming to Pakistan side, we have Shaheen Shah Afridi and Mohammad Amir, but Mohammad Amir has come back after a long time, and I think he's like a shadow of his past self. And in the Indian side, I think Ashdeep is good along with Bumrah, obviously, Mohammad Siraj, but Ashdeep is a little inexperienced compared to them. So, who do you think will do better, compared to the circumstances?
So I think it will be whoever executes their plan best. Now, from what I've seen at this venue, you want to bowl just back of a length, or maybe even a good length, and you just want to bowl there over and over and over again, like a test match. You don't need to, there's no variations required. Just bowl there and let the pitch do the work, because some are going to keep low and bring the stumps into play, and some are going to kick up and they're going to bring the gloves into play, or I mean, like we saw Rishabh Pant and Rohit take quite severe blows from island bowlers, not off balls that were short, just off balls that pitched back of the length and veered up. So I think whichever team commits to that and bowls the most balls in that area, I think will win out. Now, this is where India might have. This is where I think Pakistan might get it wrong. Pakistan, I think, will go and hunt for wickets. I think they'll bowl potentially a little bit too full, and I think they might get a little bit excited by the bounce and also bowl a little bit too short. You don't need to do that. You just let the pitch do the work for you and concentrate on bowling that one ball on a length. I think India will be a bit more disciplined there. I think Bumrah looked like he immediately understood where to bowl when he was playing against Ireland, and he's unplayable at the best of times, and he was extremely unplayable against Ireland the other day, and I expect him to be difficult tomorrow. And actually, a surprising one, I thought Hardik bowled really well. I hadn't been impressed with him at all at the IPL, but I think his natural length really suited this pitch, and so I think Hardik and Bumrah might be the
Ah,
two key bowlers from the India perspective. Somebody has to have a word with Siraj and Arshdeep and get them to commit to that plan. But they're good players. It's possible, I think, to get both of them to follow along. And like I say, if whichever of the two sides commits to that tactic, I think wins this game.
yeah, and definitely we want Assam Khan to play because it's like when he plays, we have, we just have 10 batters in Pakistan team and also a brilliant wicket keeper if he keeps the wickets. Uh, we definitely want him to play. I don't think they will go again. Two duckouts, back-to-back ducks. Sorry, Azam Khan has been someone. How did he get to play in the national team? I mean, with such fitness, and also I don't see any talent in him, no abilities. I've not watched any domestic cricket in Pakistan. Could you help me with that? How is he in the Pakistan national team? That too in a T20 World Cup like this one.
So my understanding is so first of all, Pakistan don't have that many hitters. They don't really have that many guys at all who can score quickly, and Azam Khan is kind of one of the few. They've maybe got him and Mohammed Harris and Iftikhar are the three names that I can think of off the top of my head. They didn't pick Mohammed Harris; he didn't have a very good PSL. Iftikhar is still there, but I think we kind of know that Iftikhar's not that good as well. And then we've got Babar Azam, not Babar Azam, Azam Khan. Sorry, too many Azams. As the other one, I I think from what I've seen, he is out of his depth in this tournament. I think perhaps at a lower level, and he has been good in the PSL, and I understand that he's been very good in the CPL a couple of times as well. So he has got some experience in comparable conditions. I think taking that step up has been too much for him. I saw him bat at the Oval against Mark Wood, and frankly, it didn't look like he could see the ball. He was bounced out and then was awful with the gloves behind the stumps. I mean, this is the other thing. You say it's like playing against 10 batters. It's like playing against 10 fielders as well. The guy can't move and he can't wicket keep. So I I I think it's difficult to see a reason to pick him, unfortunately.
And also
Think
to add that
yeah.
Newark pitch as also add to add that Newark pitch as you mentioned, invariable bonds, so he cannot bend so low to catch the balls, right?
Yeah, well, I mean that's it. You need a much more athletic keeper than normal because you don't know
Mm.
what's going to happen. So you probably have to pick Rizwan, and then where do you field him? It's a problem that Pakistan have got, and I I think this is this is the conundrum that selectors have to solve mid tournament. I mean, they've probably made a mistake picking him for the tournament in the first place. Now, where do they go after that? They don't have loads of backup batting. They might also be reconsidering the or reconsidering the Usman Khan idea. He's the guy who was committed to play for UAE. I think did play for UAE, and then Pakistan sort of convinced him to come over. Um, they picked him a few times. I don't think he's done that much, and now they're probably regretting picking him. But they convinced him to give up quite a lucrative contract with the UAE to come and play for them. So I think they feel like they owe him a favour. And if you've got Azam Khan in your team and he's not firing, and then a guy that you're playing because you owe him a favour, you haven't got a very good batting lineup. And that's before we even get on to the problems with the way that Rizwan and Babar Azam play at the top of the order, where they basically take too many balls to do anything. So it's a confusing team from Pakistan's perspective. I don't want to write them off completely because even though I don't think they're great players, some of these guys, have shown that they can do good things. Azam Khan in the PSL is a threat. He played some great innings in the most recent edition, like fantastic knocks. I don't know if he's the level up that you need to. I don't know if he has the level that you need to play international cricket though.
Yes, and the T20 World Cup this time, they got into the USA for the first time. They're introducing cricket to this continent, and then they've increased the number of teams that are playing. We have never heard of, Papua New Guinea, Uganda, and all playing, and they have come to, the T20 World Cup and have been playing with the big teams now. So I think this is a outreach by the ICC, to expand cricket into newer areas, because cricket is mostly seen as Asian game, in an Asian Oceania game, and then in the Europe I think it's only England and UK. So basically, this is the bit to expand the game. So do you see it as being successful?
I think it's done a really good job so far. So they've been helped massively by the USA beating Pakistan. If that hadn't happened, I think my answer would be different, but it did, and you have to give the ICC credit, I think, for providing the opportunity for a shock like that to happen, which could cut through in a new country. It was, there were write-ups of that match in things like the New York Post and the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal, which cricket, you don't often see cricket in those newspapers. So it is getting the story out in front of new people. I myself was asked to go on morning radio in the USA. So there's a national radio show called Morning Edition on NPR. And they asked me to come on and explain why it was so amazing that USA had beaten Pakistan. That might be the first cricket story they've ever run on that radio station. Like it's just not a thing, or it hasn't been a thing until that moment. And I think it probably will make a difference. Now, I'm not saying that in 3 years' time everyone in America is going to be playing tape ball cricket and nobody will be going to the baseball stadiums. That obviously isn't going to happen. It's going to be gradual and it will still be a niche sport, but it has the potential to be kind of a big niche sport, if that makes sense. So, if 1 or 2% of the people in America are interested in cricket, that makes quite a big difference in terms of, the broadcast deals that you can sell, in terms of having another competitive nation in world cricket, in terms of maybe cricket's more global appeal. If the USA are doing something, maybe other countries will consider following along as well. From what I understand, there are figures. And it really depends who you speak to. The ICC say there are 50 million people in the USA that show an interest in cricket. I have heard that it's more like 5 million people that have ever watched cricket. So I think that's probably the ICC have counted like page views on ESPN Cricket Info or something like that over a year and been like, that must be the number. I think it's more like 5 million based on what I've heard. But that's still quite a lot of people. That would be like adding New Zealand to the international global game, except that in the USA people are a little bit richer, and you have better commercial opportunities, and that's the other side of this. So there is the growing the game element. You have to remember as well, the ICC is trying to make money off this, and they see that the USA is a market where even if you are a sport that only 2% of people follow, you can sign a massive check to get the show in front of them. And I think in a way that's fair enough, and it might be one of those situations where I, as a fan who wants to see cricket grow and go to new places, my desires align with people who want to make money and take it to a new place because it might make money. I think it has done brilliantly well though. And the final thing I'd probably say is on the USA specifically, and actually a lot of the nations that we're seeing this World Cup, there is a massive Asian influence in terms of the local fan base, if there is one, and the players that make up the team. The USA and Canada, for example, a lot of those players either are from India and Pakistan, or their parents are from India or Pakistan, and I don't think that's necessarily a problem. That probably reflects the people that are playing the game in those two places. But it because there is an Indian diaspora around the world, that does kind of mean that there are growth opportunities around the world as well, because those people want to see some cricket, they want to play some cricket.
Yeah, since you brought about USA, let's talk about a popular sport in USA, that is the baseball. Do you have any idea about how baseball is being played?
Yeah, I'm a fairly big baseball fan. I follow it quite
Wow.
closely. There's baseball in the UK this weekend. The Mets and the Phillies are playing at the Olympic Stadium, which is where West Ham play football. This afternoon at 3 o'clock. Actually, it clashes with India v Pakistan. It's a great game. As long as you don't compare it too much to cricket, because it's
How
quite.
different it is from cricket? How different? Which is better, baseball, cricket?
So obviously, I think cricket is better. I'd be absolutely clear about that. There are lots of similar skills that you need in baseball and cricket. You need, to be able to hit the ball. You need to be able to catch the ball. You need to be able to throw the ball. But the rhythm of the game is quite different. I don't know if you heard on one of the broadcasts, one of the commentators says there's a run every 6 outs in baseball. So for every 6 people you get out, you'd expect there to be 1 run. In cricket, in T20 cricket, there's about 27 runs for every out. So the whole thing is sort of flipped the other way. The power is all in the hands of the batters, whereas in baseball, the power is all in the hands of the pitchers. Then you've got the dynamic of there being 9 innings instead of 1 innings and then a chase, and that massively changes how the game is structured and how it works. And then you have the final thing, which is the limit of the number in terms of the number of balls that you can face in cricket. You have 120 balls in your innings, and that's it. You're done. In baseball, in theory, you could face 1,000 balls, and that never actually happens in practice. I think the average number of pitches you face is something like 150, but it does kind of change because there's that resource limitation in cricket. It does change how people have to play and how people pace the team's innings over the 120 balls. So same skills, but quite a different objective. And quite a different rhythm to it. And if you went to baseball expecting it to be like cricket, you're still trying to get the most runs, but the way you actually get those runs and the scarcity of those runs, I think you'd find quite surprising.
Just to add to you, the only similarity between baseball and cricket that I've noticed is because I have zero knowledge about baseball, but in gully cricket in India, which we play in our small gullies or whatever you call that, uh, if you miss the ball thrice, you're out. I think that's the only similarity between a gully cricket and baseball. Over to you, Maitreya.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
think we used to do the same thing. 3 strikes and you're out, yeah.
Yeah, so I think this will be a little tough question for you because at this stage of the T20 World Cup, I think it will be tougher to predict. But according to you, who will win this year's T20 World Cup? Name any one.
So the 2 early favourites already are India and Australia from the results that we've seen. A lot of the other teams are in jeopardy of not making it to the next round, but those 2 we're definitely going to see in the Super 8s.
I think Australia is having a more balanced team.
Yeah.
I've heard your podcast.
Yeah, potentially. I do think that the pitches suit India a little bit better. I'd probably say at this moment in time, the favourites for the tournament are India, and then it's quite close, and then Australia after that. And then we haven't seen South Africa play on a good pitch yet, or not a bad pitch. And I think people looking at South Africa will be a bit worried about how they chased against Netherlands yesterday and how they chased against Sri Lanka, actually, the week before. But I think they've got a good team. I think they're well put together, and I think they could be quite difficult to beat as well. So I think India favourites, and I think Australia second favourites, and then I think the other team that I've been quite impressed by and I think are shaping up quite well are South Africa, and I'll be interested to see them when they start to play at some different venues.
Yeah, thank you, Jack Hope, for joining us today. We had a wonderful time together. This will bring you to the end of today's episode. Please do follow and subscribe to our podcast wherever you're listening to this on, and also have a look at the cricket podcast. I don't think there's any viewer of us who doesn't know the cricket podcast because we need to snatch your listeners, not we giving our listeners to you.
Well, yeah, so put a tweet up or whatever, and I'll make sure I retweet it, and hopefully a few people will give you a chance.
Thanks for coming, Jack. It was a
Thanks.
wonderful time.